Alright, this is gonna be a pretty different upload to my regular Iron Man or hardcore Iron Man or hardcore mode stuff. I'm so diverse. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about how to do Nucleus runs on an Iron Man profile. Because I think a lot of people could use this information. I've seen people doing it wrong and it really annoys me, so we're just gonna get this out there. I will have some timestamps up on screen to the different parts of the video in case you want to skip forward, in case you have some level of knowledge in this field already, and let's get started. First of all, let's talk about some of the basics of a Nucleus run. Basically, there are 5 sections of the Crystal Hollows. There is the Mithril Deposits, there is the Precursor City, the Goblin Hideout, the Jungle, and below is the Magma Fields. And in each region, you're able to obtain a crystal, which you must bring to these statues. And once you've brought back all 5 crystals, you'll get some loot, and this loot is going to be necessary to progress in mining, especially if you're an Iron Man. Alright, now let's talk about some of the things that you're going to need before you start doing Nucleus runs. Well, I mean, you don't need them, but I would recommend going for these before you start doing a lot of Nucleus runs, at least, before you start to seriously get into them. The first thing is you are going to want a total of 1,500 mining speed. This is relevant because this is the exact amount of mining speed you need to be able to insta-mine Hearthstone, which, if somehow you don't know, it's just the regular stone. All this stuff, this is Hearthstone. And you need 1,500 mining speed to be able to break it instantly. And breaking it instantly is very important for powder mining, which I will explain later. Now, to complement that 1,500 mining speed to be able to break Hearthstone even more efficiently, you're going to want some gear that can increase your mining spread. This isn't that necessary, honestly, but it can certainly help. Namely, for the main gear I have in mind is a mineral armor, which was recently buffed to where allow it to also apply on Hearthstone. It's pretty good. It'll grant you a total of 200 mining spread, I believe, which basically means you're going to mine 2 extra blocks per 1 click that you do, which can make a massive difference when you're trying to get as much powder as possible. And, of course, all the other things you know you're going to grind for Nucleus runs. And you're also going to want to have some form of ranged weapon, which you will see why later. I would recommend, if you can, get a weapon that has homing effects. For example, the Runan spell, because you'll need it to kill a boss that we'll look at a bit later. Now, one thing you'll notice is that you can actually mine the blocks in or around the Crystal Nucleus, so a lot of people, especially if they haven't unlocked the travel scroll to be able to automatically teleport here, might get stuck on the outside wondering how they can get in, but it's actually not that difficult. There are 8 entrances to the Crystal Nucleus, and the blocks around the entrance, you can mine them all. Like as you can see here, I put a waypoint here for the entrance. This is the entrance at the Mithril Deposits. There's 8 in total. There's the 1 for there, and 4 in the Magma Field areas. And I will have the coordinates of all 8 of these entrances on screen, so if you are in the Crystal Nucleus, Crystal Hollows, and you need to get into the Nucleus, go to one of these coordinates, and it'll be easy. You just walk in through the big door. Now that we're done with that, let's talk about how we can obtain each one of these 5 crystals. The first crystal I'm going to talk about is how to get the jade crystal, which is found in this structure here. It's known as the Mines of Divan, and you'll know it when you see it. I mean, there's a lot of gold everywhere. There are these massive crystals of jade. It's a really distinct structure. You'll know it when you see it. And anyway, to get the crystal, you have to talk to one of these NPCs. There are 4 of them. There's a Keeper of Diamond, Keeper of Gold, Keeper of Lapis, and Keeper of Emerald. And it doesn't matter which one you talk to, it'll give you the metal detector. And what you have to do with the metal detector is you have to, when you hold it out, it'll show you that number there. Above my hotbar it says treasure and distance. Now, if you have a mod like I have AnyView, which it'll automatically find where this treasure is, so I can just go to where it is, where the mod tells me to go. And there'll be a chest here, and this chest will sometimes have some tools that you need to be able to do the Nucleus run to get the jade crystal. Now, if you don't have any mods to do this, the way that you should do it, like if you don't have this line that points you to the treasure, you have to look at that number, and you have to pick a random direction, say, let's go this way. Now you see the number is getting bigger, so you know you went in the wrong direction. So then you go this way, this way. Now if you go too far, you'll notice that the number starts getting bigger again. Then you can find out the exact coordinate on one axis, and then you just find the other axis, and then you can find the treasure. Now if we do this enough times, we will find... There, it just said I found a scavenged golden hammer. there's 4 tools, and if you have a mole pet, which I would recommend getting, it'll increase the chance for you to be able to get these tools by 25%, which, you know, is nice. Okay, I just got the last tool, which is a scavenger's lapis sword. Now, what we have to do is we have to hand in each one of the tools to these 4 NPCs. But before I do that, I want to let you know that if you have a set of tools in your inventory, you're not going to be able to get another one. So if you're planning on doing multiple Nucleus runs, what you have to do is you have to put the set that you already have into your storage, and then you can get another set. So we can hand over each tool to each one of the guys. And then we are presented with the jade crystal. All you have to do to get it is just like click it, and you get the jade crystal. Time for the next one. Alright, the next crystal I'm going to talk about is the sapphire crystal. Now, to get this one, you need to get 6 of these things called robot parts, and you have to bring them to this NPC, Professor Robot, and you'll get the crystal inside there once you do that. Now, to get the robot parts, there are 2 ways to do it. One, you can kill these automatons, which have a, I believe, 1 to 2% chance to drop a robot part per kill. Now, this method can take a while to do, especially if there's other people who are competing with you, but it does go faster if you use the mole pet again, because this one, it'll increase the chance to drop it by 50%, which is pretty good. However, there is what I believe a superior method to obtain these, and that is powder mining. Now, quickly for reference, the 6 robot parts are the synthetic heart, the FTX 3070, the electron transmitter, the control switch, and the Robotron reflector, and the super light motor. So those are the 6 parts you need. So I mentioned powder mining, and you might be wondering, what is powder mining? So I'm going to explain that real fast. Basically, you want to optimize your setup to be able to break as many pieces of heartstone as you can, as fast as possible. So right now I'm mining a lot of heartstone. I'm using glossy mineral and the armadillo pet. If I can turn around without the armadillo pet. You know, when I mine, after some time of doing this, one of these chests will spawn. Now, normally to open one of these chests, you'd have to do this like little mini game where you have to aim at this particle like 5 times. However, there is a perk in the heart of the mountain. If you turn it on, it's called the Great Explorer. I have it turned off for demonstration purposes, but if you turn it on, it reduces the amount of locks in these chests by 5, meaning you can, okay, no, this one, because I got it before I got the perk, it doesn't work, but, like, yeah, I'll show in a second. Alright, yeah, so with that perk activated, if you right click on a chest, it immediately opens. Now, it's called powder mining because, as you can see here, it can give you a lot of gemstone powder, which you can use to max out your Heart of the Mountain tree. But this method, if you do it in the precursor city, you can also get robot parts from doing it. Now, powder mining is better than killing robots in the structure for a number of reasons. One, killing robots in the structure, there might be competition because a lot of people will be doing this, so you don't really want to... It'll lower your rates, is what I'm trying to say. Two, by powder mining, you of course get gemstone powder, and you're going to need a lot of gemstone powder to be able to upgrade your perks, to be able to make money from mining. And 3, hardstone you can use to get silexes, which are very important for stuff later. Silex basically increases the efficiency level on any mining item by 1, and you can use it to A, get to up to efficiency 10 on a drill to get even more money, or B, you can do some really wacky stuff in dungeons to help speed up your runs, and you need a lot of silexes for that, so powder mining is a better way. Once you have actually obtained the 6 robot parts, you can hand them into the professor to be able to get the crystal. Now, you can do this in 2 ways. One, you can hand each item in individually, which works if you're doing a few runs, but you can see it takes up a lot of inventory space. What you can instead do is combine all of your robot parts into an item called a precursor apparatus. Now, it has a very annoying recipe, but basically, yeah, you make one of these and it takes one of every single robot part. And then instead of having to scroll through all your items and give him 6 different items, you can just give him this one thing, and you will get the sapphire crystal. Time to go to the next one. The next crystal is the amber crystal, and this one is different because instead of having one structure, you actually need two different structures to find it. So this is King Yokar, and in order to complete this part of the quest, you have to give him one goblin egg. Now, goblin eggs you can obtain in two ways. One, by killing goblins that will spawn around the area, which, I mean, they're not that difficult to kill, they don't have very much HP. Or, just like the robot parts in the precursor area, you can actually get goblin eggs by powder mining. Now, it doesn't matter which way you choose to obtain the goblin eggs. I would, again, recommend powder mining because it's just the better way, but it doesn't really matter. You need one goblin egg per every run you do. However, there are a few different types of goblin eggs. There's yellow, red, green, blue, and regular goblin eggs. I wouldn't recommend giving him any one of these. You can give him these, but you'll need these to make these drill upgrade parts later, which, especially for the blue goblin eggs, they are really rare, so I would not recommend giving him these. So you just take out the goblin egg and you talk to him. He has this whole little dialogue. Yeah, it's annoying you. Boom. And now you've given him the goblin egg, he'll give you these King Yokar scent, which is shown by these little green particles coming from me. You need this scent to complete the second part of the quest. Make sure you don't go in water, because if you do, the scent goes away. And let's do the rest of the quest. Alright, so this is the second structure, the Goblin Queen's Den. So the crystal, you can see it in there. But if you didn't do the first part of the quest and you don't have the scent from the Goblin King, you're not going to be able to make it past these guards. They'll throw you away when you try to enter, but because we have the scent, we can go walk up and get the crystal. Now, when you get the crystal, the scent goes away, and then the Goblin guards will immediately kick you out. So that's 3 of the crystals. Time to go to the next one. Alright, the next crystal is the amethyst crystal. Now, in order to obtain this one, you have to bring these things called jungle keys to the structure called the jungle temple and do a parkour inside to get the crystal. Now, in order to get the keys, there's 2 ways. One, you could find a really rare structure where a mob called the Key Guardian spawns, and whenever you kill it, you're guaranteed to get a key. Or at this NPC called Odawa, you can buy a key for 100 sludge juice. Now, how do you get sludge juice? 2 ways. One, you can kill slimes that spawn in the jungle area, called sludge, which can drop the sludge juice, or you can do that until you get 200 sludge juice and buy a jungle pickaxe. Now this gives you an ability that lets you mine sludge juice by mining Hearthstone. And on top of that ability, the chests will also have sludge juice sometimes. Only sometimes. It's not guaranteed. Now, let's go to the jungle temple. Alright, now this is the jungle temple structure, and you may notice that my speed is a lot lower. That's because to make the parkour actually a real parkour and not easy to cheese, they reduce your speed while you're in this area. So I have this jungle key, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk up here and I'm going to give it to one of these guys. Boom. And now I do the parkour. Alright, we are now back, and that right there is the amethyst crystal. You also get 2 chests for completing the parkour. So, let's open them up. You might get something good, like, 1,000 gemstone powder, that's nice. But anyway, you get the crystal, and if you don't have any way to teleport out, you can just click this lever. And it brings you outside. Now, let's talk about the final crystal. Now, this is where you get the final crystal. This massive magma cube behind me is known as Bal, and this wall of barrier, this giant cube of barrier blocks is where the crystal spawns. Now, to get the crystal, you just have to kill it, and to kill him you have to shoot him 200 times. So we're just gonna do that. Alright, and when he's dead, he'll teleport back to the middle and he'll start shrinking, and behind him, the final crystal will appear. This is the topaz crystal. You just click on it and you get it. And now we have all the crystals. Let's return to the crystal nucleus. So now we are back in the crystal nucleus, and we have collected all 5 crystals. Now, before I place them, quick side note, if you have one, you wanna use your moped, because this, at level 100, will guarantee you an extra item for every single nucleus drop run you do. And at the Diamond Essence shop, there is a perk, which is, wait, which one is it? High Roller, which costs 5,000 Diamond Essence, and it lets you also get 1 extra drop on top of the moped drop. So now, let's do it. So to place the crystal, you just walk. Now, I have a mod that makes these big colored cages, but it's just going to be a thing of barrier blocks. You just click on it and it'll place the crystal inside. Alright, it's the final one. Alright, and here your loots will appear. One thing that I find that is really ironic about this whole situation is the fact of the moped, a pet that I mentioned 3 times so far, and it's so good for doing nucleus runs. You actually get it by doing nucleus runs. Basically, whenever you do a nucleus run, there is a chance for you to get an item called the claw fossil. It looks like this, and this, you need 1 of these and some coins to be able to forge the moped. It'll take 3 days, but it's definitely worth getting. Yeah, 300,000 coins, a claw fossil in 3 days, but that's excluding quick forge. If you max quick forge, it's 2 days, 2 hours and 24 minutes. It's really worth it. You should get this. Trust me. Now, so far, I have talked about a lot of different structures. So, how do we actually find these? In order to find the structures, there's 2 ways to do it. One, you could aimlessly walk around and hope you get lucky, like in this lobby where the Mines of Devon is just right here. And, you know, but that doesn't happen all the time. The other way that you can find the structure is by powder mining. And this is the next reason that powder mining is good. This is something I didn't mention earlier, but whenever you powder mine, and you get 1 of these chests. Alright, I've been powder mining for a while to try to get it to show up. It just doesn't want to show up, but trust me, it's real. From these chests, you can get an item called the Wishing Compass. And these, you can say I have gained quite a lot of them over my total powder mining journeys. But these are very powerful. So let's talk about how they work. Alright, so Wishing Compass can point you to any structure, well not any, but most of the important structures for doing nucleus runs in the Crystal Hollows. First thing you want to make sure is that you're outside the Crystal Nucleus, because if you're inside of the Crystal Nucleus, it'll point you to the Crystal Nucleus and not to any of the actual structures. So let's go into the missile deposits. We're going to ignore the fact that the Mines of Devon is right there. We're going to like go a bit further away and we'll find where it is. So when you right click on the Wishing Compass, this particle trail will appear that's pointing you to the structure that's in that area. Now, if you don't have, for people with NEU, you can just use 2 compasses, and NEU will automatically find the approximate coordinates of the structure. Right? But if you don't have NEU, then all you have to do is look at the particle trail and kind of go in that general direction, and you will fucking run into the structure, which in this case is the Mines of Devon. Same with the Precursor City. If we go into the Precursor area, and make sure we're outside of the Crystal Nucleus and we use a compass, it should point me to the Precursor City. But this is another issue that can sometimes happen. Sometimes in a lobby, one of the NPCs that you need to be there to do a nucleus run won't be there, so it'll give you that message instead of actually pointing you to where the structure is. So that is something that's important to look out for. If that ever happens in a lobby that you're trying to do nucleus runs in, it's not a big deal. Just swap to a different lobby. Not to find Val, you just have to go into the magma field, and then you right click, and you follow that particle trail. I'm gonna see if I can do it without any of you telling me where it is, because not every person has any U, so I use these like Eyes of Ender. I think it's up here. Yep, here it is. I found Val. Now the Amber and Amethyst crystals are kind of different because they need 2 structures each instead of just 1 to get the crystal. So the compasses work a bit differently. Let's talk about it. But for the Amethyst, the first particle trail Unless the structure doesn't exist, this particle trail will always point to Odawa, which is the NPC that lets you buy donut keys. Alright, so what you have to... So this will only point you to Odawa if you don't have any jungle keys in your inventory already. Because the game is just going to assume you need to buy them. So it'll point you to where you can buy them. Now if we go over to Odawa and if we buy a jungle key, now we have the jungle key in my inventory. Now, if I use the wishing compass, it'll point to somewhere different, which is the jungle temple. And boom, we just found the jungle temple. Now again, you can only find the jungle temple with the compasses if you have a key in your inventory. If you don't have a key in your inventory, it will always point to Odawa. Now, same thing that happened with the amethyst crystal is true for the amber crystal. It'll first point, the compass will first point you to King Yolgar. You can talk to him, and once you do his little dialogue thingy, and you give him the goblin egg, he will give you the scent. And when you have the scent, now if we use a wishing compass, you can see the point to somewhere else. So now we can go, even though it said that that was the king, it just, for some reason the mod didn't realize that I have the scent on. If we go over there, it will be the queen. And that is the queen. Now, just like the jungle temple, you can only find the queen with the wishing compass if you have the goblin king scent. Now, let's talk about how to sort of set up Nucleus runs and then how to do them. Now, in your commission milestone menu, if you have done enough commissions, you'll get a travel scroll to the crystal nucleus, which will basically allow you to automatically teleport to this point by just doing /warp/cn. But if you don't have that, you have to make a tunnel from the crystal nucleus to every single structure and back for all the crystals. And you can't just do them in whatever order you want to do, at least not if you want to do these optimally. You see in your commissions menu, you'll sometimes have commissions to find crystals, which you want to get your crystals in the order that your commissions tell you to. So I click on that commission, boom, so my next crystal has to be a sapphire crystal. The reason this is important is for Heart of the Mountain XP. One reason to even do these Nucleus runs is for the Heart of the Mountain XP that they give you. Every single Nucleus run that you do will give you 800 Heart of the Mountain XP. However, if you do the crystals in the order that your commissions tell you to do them, each crystal that you get will give you an extra 400. That means for 5 crystals in one Nucleus run, that's going to be 2,800 Heart of the Mountain XP from one run. Quickly for context, this means that if you went into the Crystal Hollows at exactly Heart of the Mountain 4 and gained 0 XP until you did your Nucleus runs, and did nothing else that would have changed any numbers, it would have only taken you 111 Nucleus runs to go from Heart of the Mountain 4 to Heart of the Mountain 7. Quick side note, sometimes when you're doing the commissions, you're not going to have any commissions to get the crystals, but to avoid that, you just have to do one of the commissions that you have. Because the other commissions are like, oh, mine 1,000 Heartstone, because that's really difficult. Right, guys? Now, that was my sort of guide on how to start with doing Nucleus runs, especially if you're on an Iron Man. I have quite a lot of experience with this, so I decided to quickly share some knowledge and also farm some views in the process. Anyway, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, like my stuff, and quick shout out to Finalizing for letting me use his POV for the efficiency 10 dungeon cheesing, because I don't have any skill doing that. Anyway, if you have any other questions related to Iron Man mining or Iron Man in general, I'll be happy to answer them. Just leave them for me down in the comments. Hope you enjoyed my terribly edited tutorial, and have a nice one. Goodbye. I walked the wrong way. I hate this. Oh my god.